In this video, I'm going to explain you Reflex 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, up to Reflex Ultimate with infinite frame generation, where NVIDIA is no longer going to sell us a GPU, and instead we're going to have to pay a monthly subscription or something because somehow they need to get their money. Okay? So here's the thing. This is a game that you can download today. Link in the description of the video is free. It is a demo that was created by this YouTube channel called Conrad Stinger. And it is basically asynchronous reprojection outside of VR. Now, this is not a real game, but you can actually test a mod for Minecraft that has the same technology. So if you're into Minecraft, give it a try. This is absolutely amazing, and it is 100% what NVIDIA is working towards. Now, they didn't go full in with this technology. They are only using one aspect to improve the input latency with mouse movement exclusively. So when you move with your keyboard, no improvement, and no improvement in the motion clarity either. So I will show you very specifically what Reflex 2 is doing, and let me tell you, I believe everyone is going to love Reflex 2. It's gonna be a must. You will use it all the time, no matter what. Okay, you're gonna find a way to force Reflex 2 if the game doesn't support it, because it's gonna be absolutely amazing. And let's see how that works even with frame generation. I'm gonna show you very specifically what Reflex 2 is doing. Now, right now, this is 144 frames per second, the real deal. No tricks, no frame generation, no asynchronous projection, nothing. Now we have the option here with this game to freeze the frame, the current frame. So it's frozen right now. I'm gonna move my mouse. Does that look bad to you? It looks perfect, actually. See, if I move here, no issues whatsoever. No artifacts, nothing. Now, if I keep moving up, you see, this was a square. So we don't know what's up because it was not on that frame, but this is what you see. That is gonna get removed and fixed by AI. So AI is figuring out what to do with this if you look up. And it's gonna figure out what to do with this if you look to the right. Or what if you look down? Well, in this case, there was nothing down. So in this example, Reflex 2 will show you no issues whatsoever with the image. You will get the perfect response in that time because we don't need to wait until the next frame is ready. You move your mouse and inside the same frame they're going to warp it. So it feels like if you were getting more frames, but you are actually not getting anything. It's like, imagine you have a picture and it's like warped. This is what they call the warping. So you can actually play on this picture. Now, if you move your mouse, but what NVIDIA is not doing is if you move your keyboard, because here's what happens if you move the keyboard. Big challenge for AI to figure that out. I am 100% convinced that they are working on it, but it's too big of a challenge right now. And basically, they don't know how to deal with it to give you the quality that they, the standard of quality that they want to have. But let me tell you, if you try this game with the full asynchronous reprojection and all the features, because this has more features that NVIDIA is not using. Again, they are only using the part where you can move the mouse, but they are not using this part. Okay? Now, if you try this, you're gonna be blown away, because let me show you how 30 FPS looks on this demo. So right now I'm gonna change again. This is 144 frames per second, real thing. No asynchronous reprojection, no frame generation, nothing. This is the real thing, no issues whatsoever. Now I'm going to change to 30 FPS with asynchronous reprojection. And you tell me the difference. Right now, this is a real 144 frames. Now I press here 4. And this is asynchronous reprojection. You tell me what's the issue with this. It fails, let me tell you. Once you try this, let's say you have a 480 hertz monitor. You get 30 FPS rendered only. And this technology is actually delivering 480 frames per second to your monitor. Reflex 2 is not doing that, okay? It's only using one aspect of this technology. This is the future, and I'm 100% convinced it will happen. NVIDIA is working on it, and they are working in eliminating this issue. You see, if I move, I'm gonna freeze the frame again. If I move to the right, we don't know what is behind the character. So AI needs to figure that out. That's what NVIDIA is working on. Okay, so they are not giving you this aspect. But with asynchronous reprojection, we are actually getting the update as soon as we can. So if we have 30 frames, that's what we have to work on. But we will get better motion when it comes to objects in respect to our movement. So let me show you very clear that. For example, again, this is 30 FPS with asynchronous reprojection. When I am moving the camera, all these objects look clear. And the only issue that I see are the occlusion artifacts. So objects that are behind this character, we don't know what is behind it. So basically, we see like a gap, like a trailing and a leading. On the trailing edge and on the leading edge of the character, we see a gap. Okay, but all these objects in the background, they look clear because it's not 30 FPS. We are getting 144. But now, the motion doesn't improve. If I look at this, for example, look at this square moving left to right here, back and forth. The motion is 30 FPS. So the motion of objects within the game are not going to improve with asynchronous reprojection. That's why we still need frame generation. So this is not it. This is not complete. NVIDIA will have frame generation and asynchronous reprojection at the same time. They just need to figure out how to, find the perfect mix, basically, between AI, frame generation, and asynchronous reprojection. So this doesn't improve, but what improves massively is the motion of things with respect to our movement, and the input lag is absolutely flawless. No issues whatsoever with the input lag. Now, another huge advantage, once we have this, let's say on the NVIDIA 6090 or 7090, it will happen. The huge improvement of this is that I believe, I don't have a way to prove it, but I believe that this will completely fix stuttering. So for example, these games that are basically broken, like Jedi Survivor or Silent Hill, of course they are not going to look perfect, but you will never feel a stuttering, ever. So because this is fixing, this is gonna fix that. Now it might not look perfect, but you're not going to feel anymore like, you know, you're playing and then you feel the stop in the rendering. It's not gonna happen with this technology. So basically, I believe if we had this technology right now, most people would use it. Just imagine this on a console. 30 FPS, you don't need anything else. Yes, it's not gonna be perfect because we have these occlusion artifacts issues, but the difference between real 30 frames per second and this is like absolutely monumental. I mean, it's just, it doesn't make even sense to compare. Every single gamer in the world would take these issues over 30 frames per second. It's not even close. It's just a no-brainer for console gaming. The thing is, Sony is not going to implement this because they need to get it with a higher level of quality. Otherwise, people are going to roast Sony or Nvidia. And it is understandable. Because the thing is, you are not going to be delivering on the console 30 FPS games and use this for every game, because then gamers are going to say, oh, the PS5 looks absolutely terrible. They are using this weird trick and now we have these ugly artifacts on every single game. But on the other hand, if the option was there, everyone would use it, 100%. So that's the thing. So again, to make it very clear, the only thing that Nvidia is doing is this part. I freeze the frame, move to the right, move to the left. That's what Nvidia is doing. Now the thing is, what's gonna happen, for example, let's go back to render. I'm going to freeze this frame. So what's gonna happen if we are looking down, we are gonna move the mouse up. There is no new frame coming yet. What's gonna happen? We don't know what's here. That's a problem. So what's gonna happen if we are looking to the right? For example, there's an enemy right here. We don't see it yet. It's right there. What's gonna happen if we do this? There's no enemy. So you're not going to see things that are not in that frame. It will improve the input lag, and as soon as we get the real frame, we're gonna see maybe the enemy popping. Like, oh, it's right there. But the thing is, this happens so fast, and you're still going to be getting enough frames where that's not gonna be an issue, because you're not going to get a delay in how fast you will see the enemy if you're doing a competitive game. You would see it at that moment anyway. You're just getting a better responsiveness in your mouse. So that's the thing with Reflex 2. But this is absolutely amazing because you can see how it will work with your own eyes, with your own PC right now, today. You will realize how amazing this is, especially when you do this. You freeze this frame and everything looks perfect. Everything looks perfect. Of course, if you just do this, go 360 or something, it's not gonna work as well. But this is awesome. You get no artifacts. You will also see that if you freeze the frame and you move to the right, to the left, that's a problem, and that's why Nvidia is not doing this part. So this component, Nvidia is not doing it, but they are working on it. They're working to fix this so they can add this dimension of the technology, let's say. And I think it will be just absolutely amazing once they figure that out, because then we have perfect input lag no matter the frame rate. It doesn't matter if your GPU can render 30, 40, 50, whatever. If you have a 480 or even a 1000 hertz display, you will always, no matter what, get the input lag of 1000 hertz and you will get also not perfect motion when it comes to the objects in respect with your character, but it's going to feel like the real thing. And the only issue is gonna be this interpolation artifacts. So that's incredible. Now for this we need frame generation. For objects that are moving like this, the motion is not going to improve at all. We need frame generation. Now I'm talking about 30 frames per second. Obviously 30 FPS is way too low, and on the PC nobody plays 30 FPS. On this demo you can change the FPS to whatever you want, and you will see that the higher the FPS, so for example right now if I change it to 60, and it doesn't need to be an integer, or if your refresh rate, you can set the render frames to whatever you want. That's the beauty of this. So if I set it to 60, now suddenly those artifacts are a lot smaller. The gap is a lot smaller because it is reprojecting the frames, and now we have more frames to work with. So for example, let's do the opposite. Let me set it up to 9 frames, for example. If I do this 9 frames, look at how big the interpolation artifact is. It's like this big with just 9 frames. But look at this. This is 9 frames per second right now. Have you ever played a game at 9 frames per second? It feels as responsive as 144 all the time. And the objects, with respect to my movement, they look fine. They look clear. Now what doesn't look clear is this. This is a mess. This is 9 frames per second. That's why we need more frames. We're still going to need frame generation to fix that. But this is incredible. This is incredible. So let's say that the game stutters. Imagine you're playing your game, you're getting like 70 FPS, it's on Unreal Engine 5, so it will stutter. Not a problem. You don't feel it. You are not going to feel that stutter. You're just playing your game, the game frame rate dropped to 9 frames. You might see something weird. If you were moving, you might see like a gap or something, but it's not going to feel like a stop. That's a lot better, to get like a weird artifact instead of getting a stop. It's just amazing. So the higher you get your FPS, the better this is gonna be. So you get 60. This is so good. I mean, at 60 FPS, this is like very good. I see the interpolation artifacts still. So yeah, if you get it like 100 and then let's say you get like 120 FPS and you have like a 480 or 1000 hertz display, then this is just gonna be amazing. Like at that point, maybe the occlusion artifacts are so small that it doesn't really matter if AI is fixing it that well anyway. But yeah, you will still see it. I can still see the occlusion artifacts because I know what I'm looking for. But yeah, you will see it. You will see it. So AI can fix that. And I'm sure NVIDIA is working on it. So this is absolutely mind-blowing. I shared this like 2 years ago. I think Linus also did a video about it. This is the creator of the demo, Comrade Stinger. Link in the description of the video to his video. So you click on his video and you can download the game from the description of his video, Google Drive. So this is absolutely amazing. Also, I'm gonna have a link to the Minecraft mod. I have not tried this because I don't have Minecraft. I don't play that. But here on the Minecraft mod, they actually say asynchronous reprojection creates second rendering context to asynchronously reproject frames from main rendering thread with new camera rotation and player position. It can be used to smooth out frame rate. It was inspired by Comrade Stinger's demo, which was also base for shader code. So there you go. So they give him the shout out. Of course, he didn't invent asynchronous reprojection. This is something that they use on VR, because in VR, motion clarity is very important. And to prevent motion sickness, this technology works really well. But he was maybe the first, or one of the first, that released something like this, a demo that you can try outside of VR, which is so cool, man. This is absolutely amazing. I'm surprised that we have no games that support this. This is a Unity game, so I think this should be part of Unity, and every single Unity game should come with this. I'm gonna play a Unity game that's called Another Crab's Treasure. It's like Souls-like. I wish that game had this feature, because that game has huge fluctuations on the frame rate. You're getting like 190 frames, and then suddenly you go down to 50 for no reason. So, and yeah, it definitely needs something like this. So in that case, again, you will always have maximum FPS for your display, and if it drops frames, you might see more of this, and that's it. But it will always feel perfect. So this is the future, absolutely. A combination between these technologies, frame generation. Of course, we need real frames, and we need good, real high resolution frames. But to get up to very high refresh rates, we need some tricks. It's never gonna happen. You will get like 1,000 real frames at true 8K, no anti-aliasing, absolutely perfect. It's not gonna happen. Outside, maybe, the games that are not demanding at all, something like this, I could run this very, very, very high frame rate. I mean, I could run this at 200 frames, no problem, of course. So yeah, I can hit here. Well, I have a cap, but my GPU is at 40%, and I'm getting 144 frames. So I could easily get 400 frames per second or something like that. But yeah, it's not gonna happen for AAA games. We understand that. So yeah, give this a try. Let me know your thoughts and opinions. I think this is the best way to actually, understand what's going on with Reflex 2. Because when we start reading the marketing material, it might be a little bit confusing. How is that working? But when you see this, when you freeze the frame, you move the mouse, you will clearly see, oh, okay, I see. This is what NVIDIA is doing. And especially once you see that the challenges are not that big, other than figuring out the things that are not inside the frame, but the things that are in the frame are so easy to warp. So you can move your mouse and you're like, man, this is like, there's nothing to fix here. This is perfect. That's why NVIDIA is starting with this aspect of the technology, because I think it is the easiest one to figure it out. So yeah, hopefully we get more technologies from NVIDIA leaning towards this direction, because this would basically mean that you never need to upgrade your GPU again, unless you want to get rid of some minor artifacts and stuff like that. So of course there's always gonna be a power, that a GPU, computational power, that you're going to need to get up to the very high frame rates. But you get the idea. People upgrade their GPU to get 20 more frames or something like that. I mean, with this, you would definitely not do that. You would only upgrade if you're getting like double the frame rate. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense. You just use this kind of tricks and that's it. So yeah, let me know your thoughts and opinion. Very exciting stuff. I've been not predicting, because I mean, you don't need to be a genius to, you try this and you're like, okay, this is where we are going because this is amazing. But I've been talking about motion interpolation and this asynchronous reprojection for the longest time, because I was like, this is a no-brainer. Since I got my LG C1 and I tried motion interpolation, which people call the soap opera effect, and it has artifacts and it's very weird, I was like, yeah, this is not very good, but this is a TV. The processor of my TV is nothing in comparison with a high-end GPU. NVIDIA could easily do this, and they should. They announced the 40 series, and it happened. And I was talking about it, like, before the announcement. And before this one, I was like, it is obvious that they will do multiple frame generation, because we now have very high refresh rate monitors. It is so, they have to do it. And of course they did. So yeah, this is just the direction we're going. I'm a big fan of real frames, but I understand this is necessary to get the very high performance, but definitely not to fix lazy optimizations, okay? I would still like this to be on the PS5 and on the consoles. From 30, which is terrible, to playable, that would be awesome, but I wouldn't want this to become the norm. And now, you know, all the console games are 30 because you have this tech. Because now console gaming would mean weird artifacts everywhere, and that's not a good standard to have. We still need developers to optimize their games and to make them look as good as possible, very clear. And these kind of technologies, I see them to crush FPS, not to get, you know, bare minimum. That's not the idea. Because I see what these developers do is every time they see this kind of stuff, they are like, okay, let's increase more and more and more. So when they advertise their game on YouTube or the trailer, it looks impressive because people, you know, 30 FPS trailer on YouTube, nobody cares. But once you get that game running on your system in front of you on a big TV, you realize, okay, well, 30 FPS sucks, so I don't really care if the lighting and the shadows are looking good when the game looks so blurry and it's such a low, you know, pixel and such a low detail everywhere. So yeah, unfortunately, they don't understand that this is not to get bare minimum playable experience. This is to get next level fluidity and responsiveness. That's what they need to understand. It's not to use frame generation now to, you know, 60 FPS from 20 or 30. No, that's not the idea. That's not a good idea at all. So yeah, hopefully they understand that. But let me know your thoughts and opinions and if you have any questions.